Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I have the SCT Sampler Kit unboxing for you this time around. And whenever I unbox my sampler kit, I also do a project. So let's dive in. Here is what the packages look like when they come in the mail. If you're new to these, they are, like the name implies, samplers of products that are on the market right now. Now, SCT always has a theme word for the month with their card, and they provide a die, both the word and the shadow die, that goes with the theme word. So I usually pull those out first when I'm looking at it. And this word die has a little bit of detail in some of the letters, and it's a little hard to pick it up on camera, but it's pretty little detail that they get in there. The back of the card always lists out the products that are in there. We've got two manufacturers' lines of products plus a reusable item. And this time, I think I'm going to show the reusable item first. Yes, this time the reusable item is this cute strawberry layered stamp set from Hero Arts. And I've actually eyed similar stamp sets, maybe the same. I'm not sure if that's an exclusive or not. I have the feeling that one is on the market. At any rate, I've divided up our products into the two different manufacturers, and these are Pink Fresh Studio products, and I will link you up to these products if you're interested in checking them out individually from these kits. And we've got a sampling of puffy stickers, and then you've also seen the die-cut ephemera pieces, and definitely a heavy travel theme there, which is a little hard for me because we really haven't done much traveling since the beginning of the pandemic. And so when I get to the project later, I do have to set this aside and kind of think about it because I don't have much going on in the travel department. So you'll see what I do at that point. I am showing you the fronts and backs of these papers. I generally like Pink Fresh, but the color palette of this one, some of it's not doing it for me. There's some browns in there that I'm not liking and some peaches in there that I think I could like, but there's something about the tone that's not quite my thing. And here's that brown that I mentioned. Some of the pieces I definitely like this one with the words and the arrows, and I will put that to use on the project. So we'll check that out later. And then this is a kind of a punch apart piece from Photoplay. There we go. That's the Photoplay company's line of products, and they've got a summer vibe going on here. And some of these papers are really cute, and the B-sides are definitely super usable. And I will use these papers to mix and match across both product lines when I get to the project, so that's always a good thing when I can make them work together. Of course, SCT is very good about coordinating their supplies well enough so that you can mix and match across the different manufacturers. That sunglass print is really cute. I like that one. The navy blue is my thing right now, so the navy is definitely good. And this pink, it's really pretty. I really love it. So here's where you can see that it's a sample. The back side of this is cut apart from 12 by 12 pattern paper, so you're only getting a part of those papers there. So that's sometimes what happens with a sampler. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the project. If you follow my videos, you may have seen these photos before because this is the vacation we took last summer, the only vacation we took last summer. And I am doing these photos yet again for another album. And I tell you, I'm not feeling super motivated to do them, but I am going to get these projects done, use up these travel products from my kit, and be able to move on. So I am finding this process interesting because I'm going to use that piece of pattern paper there and highlight the words on that pattern paper to point out to specific photos that can match up with those words. I am going to make this into a double page spread, so you will see me working the other side as well. And again, I'm mixing and matching the two product lines across. So some people say they don't say. I know some people struggle with using 6x6 pattern papers on 12 by 12 layouts. So I often give ideas on ways that you can make it work. And yet again, here I am with some different ideas. I am using the 6x6 as very focal central papers to this layout, and I'm adding bits and pieces to become borders, and you'll see me take this green piece in particular using as a border on one side of the layout and then tying that across to the other side of the layout. Even though the shapes and designs of the 2 pages of this layout are different using those 12 by 12 papers, when you take bits and pieces and tie them across the layout, it turns into a cohesive double page spread. All right, so that is the general structure that I've got going on. What I'm doing now is trying to find papers that match the arrow colors on this side of the layout so that I can set up the design elements like I mentioned about highlighting those words. So I will finish constructing the other side of the layout. Because those bits and pieces were cut apart from a 6x6, I do have to take a little time to glue them and tape them all together so that it is a functional structure. Now sometimes when I'm cutting down these strips and things, the edges don't always line up. So I try to line up the pattern of the paper first, and then I can trim away any odd excess paper on the edges. So my focus is on the pattern. All right, so I got my title set up. I die cut it out of using the die in the kit and using very highly contrasting colors so that it will stand out a little bit better on this busy paper. And this is where I'm finding strips of paper that will match up with those arrows. And I'm going to line up the edge of the strip with the arrow, and I will cut a little banner on the other side. And then these little strips will run under my photo in some way so that the word, the arrow, the pattern strip, and the photo all become a little bit of a unit there. And you can see that I'm picking up this piece of paper as I go because I didn't want to glue all this stuff down yet because I've got something else coming up. And finding some of the colors to match, like the brown in particular with the arrow, was not working out as well as I wanted to. Now, sometimes cutting apart strips off of those word papers is what I needed to do to get everything to work out. And also, this is a trick that I use all the time, is if your strip isn't long enough, you can always cut it apart where it is going to be hidden underneath the photo and then extend it on the other side. So that is what I am doing there. And I'm getting that little piece tucked under with my little banner. And I just realized that I've got the wrong photo on the wrong word. Not that it mattered a lot because these were all similar photos and the words are all kind of similar, or, out and about kind of words there. But part of me was looking at the shape and the structure of the layout as well. So that's all stuff that's in my brain when I move that photo around. I did have to go to my stash and choose a brown piece of paper to go with the brown arrow there. And I wanted that one to have the full road trip word on it, but I couldn't make it work. So I just ended up with the word trip. And that's okay. Sometimes we have plans and we have to be flexible and adjust our plans as we go. Oh, here I am creating a plural form of my title. It says hello friend, but because we were on this vacation with friends, I wanted to make it plural. So I found a very basic stamp set from my stash and punched out a circle from the same orange title paper so that I can extend that word. And the first try was a little blurry, so I'm kind of prepping my stamp a little bit better because I haven't used that alphabet stamp set very much. It was something I'd gotten as a freebie in a box, and so I needed to make sure my stamp was prepped. So if you've ever struggled with wanting something to be plural or have a different suffix to it, this is a little tip that you can use for those kinds of things. All right, I've got that glued together. I added a little bit of an embellishment underneath that to kind of make the title zone bigger so that it stands out a little bit more. And then I'm going to add one more little embellishment to behind that title to help ground it a little bit better and make it a little more poppy. There we go. That's the word. And because I cut apart that circular element, I'm going to carry that across to the other side of the layout. And so those little tips that when you carry one thing across helps those two pieces feel cohesive. Okay, one thing I like to do with 6x6 pattern papers is to use them as journaling blocks, and anything with stripes on it naturally will lend to journaling blocks. And I thought this piece of paper was really interesting with the blocks of stripes, so I did cut them apart and make them line up so that I can use them as journaling. Now, because 6x6 papers don't always go across the entire background, sometimes adding something to that background can help make your papers pop a little bit more. So I pulled out the stencil set from last month's SCT Sampler Kit, which is kind of a tropical floral stencil. And I do believe I used that stencil for, now I can't remember. Did I do these same photos last month? I'm just not sure. But at any rate, I did use that stencil last month, and I'm using it again this month. And that's the nice thing about the reusable items in these SCT Sampler Kits, because I keep my kits in their baggies and on a shelf that is nearby so that I can go grab extra things like this from the kits if I need to. And this stencil was the perfect little tidbit that I needed to finish off this layout. So I am going to finish up my stenciling. I am focusing the color into one portion of the stencil and then letting it fade away into the background so that it you don't have to stencil the whole entire thing. This just adds a little bit of texture, a little bit of lift to the layout, a little bit of breaking up of the monotony of the background paper, all those kinds of things. So just bits and pieces of stenciling here and there. I did leave a zone unstenciled for my journaling on the right-hand page, because why take the time to stencil if you're just going to cover it up? I try to be efficient with my time when I can. I don't always think ahead enough, but when I can, I do. All right, let's see. What have I got going on next? Oh yeah, because I've got a few circular elements on this layout already, both with adding that S onto my title, the little piece that I put behind my title, and the pattern paper on the right hand side. I am going to add in a few more circles to this to tie in, because the right hand page has more circles on it than the left hand page. I do want to add in more circles to the overall layout to make that more cohesive. So I'm going to use those circles as little grounding bits to other embellishments. And I will extend some of the photos, some of the existing embellishments, and then with the puffy stickers, I'm going to add some of those words into the layout to do little embellishment groupings. And then when I was getting to I'm using the navy blue here to extend the blues from that circular embellishment I used behind the title piece, and also the background to my title piece is the navy blue. So I am using that to go across both pages of the layout, like I said, again, for cohesiveness. And because the other side of that paper is the sunglasses, I did pop out one of those sunglasses and use it as an embellishment as well. All right, long story for a short little embellishment tidbit. All right, this pattern paper I found perfect to be little cut aparts for captions to my photos, because these photos are kind of from different bits and pieces of our trip. I wanted to put little captions on the photos to help tie them into the bigger story of my journaling. And I've got all that done. And then tying another element to tie these two pages together, of course, is doing a border. And this is, I do this all the time, so you'll know this if you're here often. And my pen was cutting out on me, and I'm not sure if I'm just running out of ink or if there's something about this particular paper. This background cardstock is new to me. So I don't know, my pen was cutting out, but I got it and made it work. So that is the layout that I have to share for you this month. I hope you got some good tips and tricks on using 6x6 pattern papers to create 12x12 layouts. I also hope that I give you some tips on doing double page spreads and how to get them to be cohesive across the two designs. Even if they're different designs, they don't have to be matchy-matchy. Let's see, so that is it for this time around. I will be back on Friday with 2 videos because I've got myself double booked on Friday. So I hope you will join me then, both for my freebie video for my monthly freebies, as well as a stash busting hop. So until then, have an artful day.